Jay, and this is your home for Gacha news, analysis, and reviews. Let's go. What's up, guys? So hopefully you guys saw Kier's video. And now we're doing my top 5. I went a little bit of a different route than he did, but I was trying to really think about some sleeper picks here. So the first one I wanted to talk about was Marianne. We kind of had a conversation before this about her because he was actually surprised that in my mic chart she was so high. But one of the things I wanted to point out with her is that her animation itself is actually absurd. If you look at her DPS, like if you go into her details, she does 4.5 times her elemental damage every time she hits a target. So it gets kind of nuts if you can hit it, but you're kind of playing like Galago with it because it's just like you're shooting across the screen and it just goes in a straight line. That's so easy to dodge. But if you could play her in something like a raid or a PvE, she can really put out a ton of damage, or even in Coliseum where nobody's really dodging anything. I mean, through her passives, everything gets kind of crazy. Like her attack increases by 25% if she's not taking any damage for 3 seconds. She gives everybody else in her team 46% if they're an earth attack. Then her weapon itself basically just her unique weapon basically just adds 25% DPS on top of all of that. So she kind of really synergizes with herself very, very highly. As long as you can hit that attack, the numbers for sure. What do you think about that?
I think that's interesting to hear about how the animations for her really benefit her damage, because I've been wanting to build her just because I kept rolling her weapon, so it's like close to limit breaking it, but I didn't want to invest in her because I didn't know just how good she was. I didn't know how to evaluate the weapon skill, because she has the weapon skill regen passive for her party skill. So it's like I didn't want to invest in her and then find out that she was a letdown. So it's really nice to hear that she's actually really good. And so I'll probably get her up a bit. Probably not gonna probably just get her up to put all the red awakening stones on her, get her to 69 to see how good she actually does. But it sounds like she's gonna be a really hard hitting DPS character for you.
Yeah, there was actually a pretty, I guess you could consider it a cheese strat with her early in the game, to where you ran her, Marvin, Craig, and Aoba together, where she's like basically the only DPS in it. And that got within the top, I think it was top 60 by the time that guy was done and uploaded the video. So I think that goes to show how strong she can actually hit in something like Coliseum. But it's not, awesome. You could take it into Arena, you're just gonna miss a lot. So yeah, be aware of that.
yeah, she's probably gonna get bodied. Like, definitely don't take into Arena. Probably kind of got phased out in Coliseum, or gonna be a really good character. Like, let's say whatever 3-star you have, like if you have an Earth related 3-star, she's gonna be a good addition to just kind of build up on the side for you as you're building like mono Earth. But I was thinking like for like this is like late game stuff, but for raids, having a lot of these 2-stars are actually super good for late game content. So maybe she'll be an addition for an actual Earth team.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to figure out DPS. I think you have a lot of DPS options in Earth, which, I mean, it'd be kind of hard to replace Tinia and Bari, but it could be possible, especially if you don't have them and you're trying to get the most out of it.
Do you think her damage is worth it, like as a backup character, or do you want her are you thinking of her as a main DPS?
I would be running her if you're like she's in your party. I would definitely run her just because of the way that the animation works. You don't want the computer just missing a lot of skills and stuff like that, or the animation itself. So yeah, I would definitely try to run her, especially if you're trying to run like that cheese comp with Marvin, Craig, and Aoba. The only other one you would want to run there would be Marvin. So if you're gonna run her, I would say it's a main. A lot of these main units that you would want to pilot are generally you're running them for the weapon skill, like the passives and things like that, or because their animations take so long that you want to make sure that it's used correctly. That's why I think it's kind of hard to use Future Princess as like a side support unit, just because that stun is so helpful.
For sure. Yeah, she like having that on a lot of so many interactions, it just one taps their, like it puts them in a CC chain. It's awesome. So losing that is such a bummer when it comes to running Future Princess. It makes sense. Yeah,
so the next one is probably the most slept on hero in my opinion, and that's Ranpang. She's just so tanky. It's crazy how tanky she can get. So I have her tank stats up, like if you factor in everything, she can absorb close to 254,000 damage, which is kind of insane when it's all broken down.
Okay, well, can you put into some context for me, like Agma or
Yeah.
Marina. Okay, how much tankier is she than, or on the level of those characters is she?
So Ogma does 300,000 in terms of tank. Like he can absorb 300,000 worth of damage, and she's doing 353,000. So she's doing taking like 47 less. So it's basically she can take 2 less Bari hits than Ogma can. But she's going to be higher than people like Aisha, Vishuvik, Eugene, Beth, Shapira, Marshmallow. So she's incredibly tanky. And then if you get her below 50% health, she gains an additional 30% DPS or defense. So she gets even stronger at that point in terms of tanking. But her party buff really factors into that because she gives, I think it's the highest individual party buff for a defensive stat at 42%. So that's a ton of defense to just throw on your team. Hey, but the issue with her is that she's incredibly weak when it comes to offensive output. You really need her unique weapon because it just basically does 10% AoE, and that's really the only saving grace in her entire DPS side of the kit. But if you're just looking for somebody to go out there and absorb a ton of PvE type of damage or to stand in front of a raid boss, she could really take a lot of the hit before you go into Craig or Marvin, or Craig or Ogma. So yeah.
I think for people that are building like mono basic, like let's say they pulled Nari, that'd be a good character to invest in if you're kind of, because I feel like there's a big lull in the game when you are going from 4 to 5 star, and so the best way to increase your roster is by leveling up some 2 stars, and she would be a good 2 star to have as kind of like your backup. Maybe not invest too crazy with her, but at least have her survivable enough to where you can clear content you might not necessarily be able to clear by just purely investing in Denari.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what I was going for. I wouldn't say that she's late game viable, but all the way up until people probably hit like chapter 9-ish, I would say that she's probably a very, very suitable tank for most people. Even if you were to get her to 5 stars, just guess you could reset her hero wise to get the awakening stones and stuff like that if you decided to switch off. But to me, she's, for a free to play person, she's incredibly viable.
Yeah, I think she's definitely worth investing in. I ended up investing in her. I thought she was really good. I liked her for Orbital Tower, for Coliseum, for a long time, up until I finally got other 3-star characters to replace her. Like I got Ogma, or it was Marina. Marina originally replaced her, but I thought she was very good. Just a good body to have on your team until you get the better tanks. And for depending on how well you're progressing or how quickly you're progressing based on how much you're spending, you can have her for a very long time in your account, and she's going to be very useful.
Yeah, that's true. So the next one I have is Marvin, for a lot of similar reasons, but Marvin to me is basically what we thought Beth is, but like prior to Beth. The main thing to know about him is he jumps super high, because it's pretty awesome watching him jump in the air with his animation. But he's the type of character that just runs straight at the backline for the most part and just starts wailing on people. The more HP he loses, the more damage that he does. His party buff gives him that HP as well. And then if he's being attacked, he has a 20% chance every second to increase his DPS by an additional 50%, which is kind of nutty. If he can get on the backline, he is a pure menace because he has so much health and he can hit stupid hard when he is being attacked. So overall, I have him like as the 8th tankiest person in the game. And if you're not activating his passives, he's doing about 34th in terms of DPS output. But when it's activated, it's closer to above average. So you're having a weaker DPS type of character running onto the backline and absorbing a ton of that damage, as well as, being a menace.
Oh, okay. Well, I see him a lot. I think he's a very good like mid-game player if you're investing in Earth. If you're already going Earth, he's going to be a good character to throw on your team, and he has like a lot of things that are actually make him really good, like you were saying. So because I feel like there's a lot of people's accounts get defined by what 3-star that they pulled, and some factions just have really bad 2 stars, whereas this would be an example of an actual really good 2-star, so you don't feel bad investing in that 2-star when you're kind of hitting that lull.
Yeah, I think I ran with because Tenio is my first 3-star. I ran with Marvin all the way up until I got Bari, and then Bari replaced him. So yeah, it is definitely defined more around which 3-star you get. But if you are someone that's not going to spend at all and you're getting bad luck, You could definitely run someone like Marvin in just like a rainbow type comp to just fit him in somewhere, and he can be kind of like your hybrid tank as well as doing a whole bunch of damage as well. So the next one I think is kind of a sleeper even when it comes to arena, and that's Mei/Faye. I don't know. Have you ever run her?
Yeah, I ended up training rooming her when Beth came out because I wanted to see if she would counter Beth. Yeah, I think she's pretty good. It sounded like she would be interesting when it came to she has the melee defense. She has solid. She looked like she did like solid damage. She had type affinity. So I was like, okay, you mean I'll mess with this. And she's a 2-star, so it'd be hilarious if the big meta takeover character gets bodied by a 2-star. I just thought that would have made a hilarious video, and so that's why I did that.
I'm assuming since it was to counter Beth, who is an absolute arena beast, it did not work in your favor.
It did not. I got
I definitely.
The reason why that video never existed.
I definitely think you could run Mei all the way up till about Masters and Arena, though. As long as you're not running into that Beth or people that have just been AFK, I think she is incredibly strong. But the main thing you got to remember with her is that you have to hit that her last attack in her chain, because that's the one that heals her, and it also has 140% DPS modifier on it. So if you're missing that, you're losing so much in her kits. But the good news is that she has to stay incredibly close, and she hits super fast, so it's kind of hard to miss.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Maybe I'll give it another shot, but
I don't know if with where you're at, if it's worth it for you specifically, but I think
I'll probably get about it again, but it'd be fun to try out.
Yeah, if you're bored one day, I hear that. And then the last one I wanted to talk about is actually normal Eva. I don't know. Have you ever ran her?
Normal Eva? No, I've watched videos like people were also trying to counter Beth with Eva. What I watched is people used Eva's weapon on Future Princess to try to. That's what I saw. Okay.
Eva as a whole is super. She's a really, really interesting champion. And if somebody's standing still, which the majority of the people you're going to fight don't, other than like raid bosses a lot of the time, because her animation is so, it requires her to stand still, and it just keeps like firing down weapons on people. If it's kind of hard to keep the DPS up, but if she is sitting there doing that, she can increase her DPS by 50% when she's attacking dark units. So that's why maybe people were thinking about like Beth, because if she is hitting like a raid boss, she can really push out a ton of damage. And one of the really interesting things about her is I think she's the only character in the game that has 2 party buffs. Can you think of another one that has 2 party buffs?
I can't, because she has I know it's attack plus something else, defense.
Yeah, it's 22% light attack and 22% defense. So yeah, you were right about that. And if you do have that exclusive weapon on her, she gets an additional 3% or 3 attacks added to the end of her animation cycle, and it gives her a grand total of 40% extra DPS. So her running her exclusive on a unit that's standing still can really shred, especially if they're dark.
That has to be one of like the most beneficial weapon changes. Like going from just a normal weapon to their exclusive, 40% DPS boost. That's kind of insane.
So I've gone through and looked at all the different weapons and like how much they add to the character. Obviously, Garam's #1 because that weapon is just insane compared to other bow options. She actually slots in at 6, despite having worse stats than a lot of other ones, just because of the passives added to it. So having the 6th best overall synergy with a weapon, that's kind of crazy for someone.
I'm curious. What is the top 3?
Let me pull it up real quick.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you need to bait that for a video.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah,
just edit that out and be like, oh, hey, you mean we gotta maybe drop it in the editing, be like, oh, hey.
Sorry, man. I'm gonna throw out a video. I'll link it to you when I'm done.
Okay. All right, I'll wait.
Let's be honest with ourselves. This video was carried by Cairo Mobile, so be sure to go check out his YouTube channel above so you can see more content like this and that and that